What is up, you guys? So we have Elon Musk's compensation package vote coming up on the 13th, and Ron Barron from Barron Capital, he's been a massive bull on this company for a very long time, was on CNBC this morning talking about it. And so what I want to do in this video is react to this live. I have not seen this. Usually I agree with what Ron Barron has to say, but I figured that these types of reaction videos, and not just looking more at charts, but talking more about fundamentals and how I feel as a long-term investor in these companies, specifically Tesla, could bring a lot of value to you. If you guys don't know who I am, my name is Peter DiCarlo. I've been a full-time trader and investor for the past 9 years, and I make these videos to help give a very realistic expectation on investing and how to actually be a full-time trader. And so if you guys want to learn more about the market, to learn how to actually become profitable and successful, then hit that subscribe button.
I've known you've been a very long time holder. Some of your funds own 2.7%, 3%, 2.8%. The Barron Partners Fund is almost 30% long position in Tesla.
So now understand, this is obviously not somebody with a small amount of money or a small position relative to his fund. Ron Barron, as she just said, has nearly 30% of all of the total assets in all of his funds in Tesla. So this is somebody who, if you don't know, has been extremely bullish on Tesla for the past 7+ years and does have a sizable position long term.
So you are a massive shareholder.
It's also $13 cost. So, and he has
an average of $13. That's just disgusting.
Owned it since 2014, 2016. Between 2014, so I met him in 2010. 2014 to 16, we invested $400 million, made about $5 billion at the peak. Now we made about $4 billion, sold about a quarter of our stock 3 years ago.
How much do you hold now, though, in total? How many shares?
I don't remember the number, but it's a big percentage of our assets.
So what do you think about this pay package? This is a pay package that shareholders approved once this Delaware judge has overturned it, and now it's going back to the shareholders again. How will you vote your shares?
So now, for anybody who's not following this entire compensation package deal with Elon, Elon has not taken any pay at all from the company, and I think about 5 or 6 years. And back when this entire agreement was once reached, because as Becky said, shareholders have already voted yes to this. And so I don't know if they're going to get into the details here, but basically Elon said, I don't want any money at all unless I grow the company by X. Now, I forget what that metric is. I swore I heard 10X at one point, so from like 58 billion to 500 billion. I think that's what it was. But whatever those requirements were, everyone expected that he was not going to do that. And if he didn't do that, he would have got paid nothing, right? But that's the beauty of entrepreneurship, is unlimited upside if you do your job. And so in this case, Elon is saying, okay, everyone agreed to it, but now this Delaware judge is overturning the entire thing. And now, I'm not going to get political here, but I definitely think that the powers that be do not want, obviously, Elon Musk to have this compensation package, but just don't want Elon Musk around in general. And so if you look at $56 billion, this is what he almost paid for X. And so if this guy continues to get more and more money, more and more control, that is not good for the powers that be, like we said before.
We're voting for the package. But before I talk about that, there's 3 things I want to discuss with you.
And so now, obviously, Ron Barron said that he is going to vote for the package. And personally, I would be voting for the package as well. I've said in prior videos that if this package doesn't go through, that Elon Musk could leave. I don't know if that's going to happen, but one of the things that we talked about was what would happen if Elon left. And I think a lot of people got a little misconstrued when I said that the whole AI aspect would leave with him. Of course, he can't take the intellectual property that Tesla owns. He can't take self-driving. He can't take all of these other aspects of Tesla, but he can take the team, right? And for those of you who haven't built a business, that is a company, right? You can have the greatest intellectual property ever, but if you don't have the team to actually run it, to continue to develop it, and to operate it, then you really have nothing at all. And so as a shareholder, that's my worry, is that if this compensation package does not go through, what if he leaves? Does the AI team come with him? What ends up happening? But let's hear what Ron Barron has to say.
Number one is contracts, of course. Then I want to talk about Elon's ecosystem, all the different things he's doing. And then Elon. I want to talk about that, what he's accomplished.
Other thing I want to talk about that I've been going over in these videos, and I was actually going to do a full video on, is the Tesla ecosystem, because I think that that's the most undervalued aspect of this company. We are seeing the market every single day, every single week, every single month, continuing to push up higher and higher on the back of AI. And it's so odd to me that so many people have been bullish on this company for so long. So many people have called it a tech company, a robotics company, which are all true. Yet for some reason, while the share price is dropping, people tend to forget about that, right? Like the bullish of bulls all somehow forget about that aspect. And so for me, right, if it's not NVIDIA and I'm looking for a massive 1, 2, 3x return over the next 4 years on AI, my play is Tesla, because I think Tesla's one of the biggest AI plays that is right under all of our nose, that for some reason, retail and Wall Street are not smelling it.
When I met him in 2010, they were doing 2,000 cars a year. And then in 2014, I was 31,000 cars. That's when we started buying. In 2016, 76,000 cars. And last year, 1,800,000. So significant growth. And he made promises if he met these metrics of EBITDA, of revenues, of market cap, that he would get this extraordinary compensation. And the compensation, when he started, when the contract was signed, it was the company's market value was $53 billion. It got as high as $1 trillion, and it's now 500.
And so, obviously as $1 trillion, that's 20x that number. And so even sitting at 500 billion, that is still 10x.
150 billion. I think in the next 10 years, we're probably going to make 4 or 5 times our money again in Tesla. So he's created tremendous wealth for people, and he was paid, if this contract is enforced, which I think it should be, he's paid $56 billion. So it's like winning the lottery, if you, and Joe was talking about before, you win the lottery, you don't tell someone, oh, I'm sorry, you won so much money, you have to give it back.
I remember thinking at the time that the compensation deal was a crazy setup, but I also remember thinking at the time that I never thought he'd hit any of the metrics.
No one did.
And see, that's the thing as an entrepreneur, and I don't talk too much about business and entrepreneurship, even though it's something that I'm absolutely obsessed with, but that's what we're looking for. As investors and entrepreneurs, we're looking for unlimited upside. There is a reason that we don't work a job. Not that I've anything against it, right? Not at all. But what we're looking for is unlimited upside. We don't care about making X amount per year for the next couple of years and capping our gains. As an entrepreneur and as an American, what makes this country so fucking amazing is the unlimited upside, is creating crafty deals like this. And so the fact that all of those metrics are hit, and yet they don't want to go through with it, is ridiculous.
Hit every one of the metrics, so it's hard to imagine taking that back and clawing it back.
Exactly. And so that's exactly how we viewed it. I said, man, if he hits this is fantastic. We're going to do so well. And again, he should have
And that's the biggest thing to think of as well, is that as an investor in Tesla, you want him to hit these metrics. And this is something I want you to think about, because the way that Elon will acquire the compensation package obviously would be through shares, most likely. I think that's how it is, because it's a share option program. And then what he'll usually do is he won't use that money, but he'll go borrow against the shares that he has, because debt is untaxable. And from there, he'll go out and spend the money however he wants. And so you have to understand that if shareholders are getting diluted, then the biggest brunt of that is going to come from big institutions like BlackRock or even like Barron Capital, right? And so these people, obviously, who are voting against Elon, they're not voting against it because he missed the metrics or he's not doing well. They're voting against it because they're greedy.
another contract going from this point going forward, where it's incented the same way, I'm hoping. So number one, the contract. So 73% in 2018, 73% of the investors approved it. All of the disinterested parties who are directors, they approved it. And the people he has who are directors, these are not flakes. They are Larry Ellison, one of the wealthiest men in the world, Hiro Mizuno. He was the head of the Japanese pension fund, the largest pension fund in the world, $1.5 trillion. Kathleen Thomas, Walgreens, Boots. So he had really, and of course Robin Denholm, who came later. But they all approved this, and they all thought this was a fair, a fair agreement. So basically, number one, all the disinterested directors approved it. Number two, that's the will of the company. The will of the company and the will of the shareholders. So I think he should be, it's a legally binding contract. And then who sued? You had an individual who was a shareholder for hire with 9 shares, sued. And it took him 5 years to get the derivative suit certified, but class action wasn't, so he doesn't really represent all the shareholders. And the lawyer who represented them, when you talk about getting lucky, he has applied to the court for payment of $5.6 billion. $5.6 billion. And then he is asking for the payment to be made in shares of Tesla stock, which are depressed because of this lawsuit. It's crazy. So I think that, it's really unfair the way they're addressing this.
And that's the other thing too, like he was just saying, and like we were talking about before with shareholders losing shares. Obviously, getting rid of your shares at this price is very, very bad, because I agree and with Ron that I think that we're going to see a 3-4x in the next 5 years on Tesla. And so if they're giving that up, not only are they giving up shares now, but they're giving up mass amounts of money in the future. And that's obviously why they don't want to get rid of them.
I think that he earned it, and he deserves it, and he should be paid it.
You've said for a long time, when we've asked you what your biggest concern about Tesla would be, is the key man theory, that so much is riding on Elon Musk being there. If he's not there, you don't think the company is worth the same. So what do you think happens if this package is not approved? What will Elon do?
I can't see inside of his mind, but I know that he has created tremendous value for everyone. I know he has a big stake in Tesla. But when I started in business in 1970, one of the people who really helped me at the very beginning of my career was Jay Pritzker. He's Tom Pritzker's dad, and he's the founder of Hyatt. And we were talking about arrangements, and he said, Ron, if you need to have a contract, then you're doing business you're doing business with the wrong person. You can't rely on a contract to do this, and you have to. He's a handshake guy. So if I say I'm going to do something, I do something. We said, as Tesla as a company, Elon, if you perform, this is what you're going to get. How are you going to go back and renege on that, especially when all the directors and all the shareholders approved it? It's crazy.
And so if we look at Tesla's price action over the past couple of months, you're going to see that we've basically just been consolidating between this high of $194 and this low of $168. And so I think that this squeeze will continue until June 13th, when we get the compensation package shareholder vote. And I think in the short term that we could probably see Tesla pull its way back down to maybe even 170, shake a lot of the weak retail hands out of this. And then I do believe that in the next month and a half, we will see Tesla back up at $198 to $200. And at the end of the day, I think that what upsets me about this entire situation more than anything, and this is going to get political, but whatever, is the fact of, like he said, going back, right? Like, it's not even that it's just a handshake. It's that if everybody agrees, and if this was a legally binding contract, like, you want your CEO to do this. This incentivizes everybody, because the shareholders have massive upside, because if Elon hit the metrics he said, then they would do that. And obviously he has hit those metrics. He has made shareholders a lot of money. Maybe shareholders are upset because even though he hit those metrics, Tesla's price of the stock is not, up at $300-400, but it doesn't matter. And what worries me is that when you look like long term, the fact that a Delaware judge can just shut this down, potentially because they just don't like Elon, is unconstitutional. And it worries me because as an entrepreneur, not even an entrepreneur, as an American, right? Like, whether you hate Elon Musk or not, which a lot of people do, I want my future in that guy's hands, I'm not happy with how this country is ran all of the time or everything that's happening. But as an American and as a patriot and somebody who loves this country and this country has given me everything, what I want to see is innovation. I want to see that because we know we can't give our money to the government. The government is the worst at spending. I'm not against paying taxes, but we know that the government does not innovate. We can all agree that the government doesn't innovate. The government barely provides jobs and steady jobs and good paying jobs. And so, therefore, if someone is going to control the mass wealth in this world, I'd rather put it in the hands of guys like Jeff and Mark Zuckerberg and, Elon Musk, as opposed to putting it in the hands of crony politicians. It's like, I understand where a lot of people are coming from, but to me, as somebody who loves this country more than anything, watching a judge like that block this and all the fuckery that is going to happen here is worrisome. For sure it is. So let me know what you guys think. I do think ultimately that the compensation package will go through. What Elon will do if that doesn't happen, I'm not sure. And all we can do in the meantime is sit back, wait, and see what happens. Thanks for all the support, guys. Let me know what you think down below. Hit the subscribe button. I'll see you next time.